And what's the process take? Some banks may take longer than others to assess applications, and it's back and forth. There's valuations that go through.
Absolutely. So there is what's considered, your SLA or your turnaround times with all the banks. A lot of brokers will order upfront valuations, which help because that, it basically progresses the process. So you order an an evaluation up front. While that's waiting to come back, you've already started the process. So then by the time the valuation comes back, in most instances, you've sort of already prepared the application. So it's working in conjunction with each other. So you're not waiting 2 or 3 weeks before you're actually getting an approval as such.
And how long's the typical valuation stage?
That's only usually a few days. Okay. So at the moment, you've got some lenders that are taking 4 to 5 days to pick up a file. You've got some banks that are at 2 days. You've got some that are at a week now because they've got all these specials, cashback offers and frequent clients. That's throwing out the turnaround time a little bit. But they're getting done. It's just that depending on what kind of criteria they're looking for, the loan amount, the loan to value ratio, and also what kind of submission, for example, the broker's putting together. So if you're lodging an application, you've got everything there, it's highly likely that the turnaround time for that application and the approval is going to be greater and quicker than if you're just sending in bits of information.
Is all that data around SLAs available to a mortgage broker? So you can help the customer make an informed decision. Absolutely. So usually we, as a broker, you get updates, whether it's daily or every few days from the lender saying we are at this turnaround time or we're at this turnaround time, so you can make that decision. A lot of the times, though, in most instances, it won't change the client's mind. And what we say, if you're not in a huge rush, you shouldn't make the decision to go with a particular lender just because they're at 1 week decisioning. Because sometimes they'll say to you it's going to take us 7 days, but it'll only take them 3. So that's just a guide so that people are aware of how long it can take. And some banks wanting a first home buyer versus an established versus an investor type client. Does some banks choose what they want their book to look like?
I think every bank would have their preference. They can't announce that. They can't say, hey, we would much prefer an investor or we would much prefer an owner occupied at 60% loan to value ratio. That would be the ideal client for everybody. Yes. But I dare say the policies within each lender would guide what kind of business they would get. Absolutely.